Consciousness. Let's check it out. So what is consciousness? Is it a mystical state, something far off, something in the future when you're enlightened? No, not at all. How to experience consciousness? Well, you're already experiencing it. Or rather, it's just there. It's not that it requires an experiencer, but the experience of consciousness, the experience of thought, or the substance of thought, isn't something you have to go out to. It's something you rest back in or step back into. So, for instance, right now you may notice there's thought, evaluating what I'm saying. You believe it, you don't believe it. Makes sense, it doesn't make sense. You don't like the term consciousness. Or you're thinking about how consciousness and awareness are different and which one's more primary, or what so-and-so speaker says about these things. Now, the reason I know some people are thinking about this is because they make comments about it frequently. But here's the thing. The substance through which, or the medium through which you can think that, you can think those evaluations, concerns, beliefs, judgments, etc., that's consciousness. Pure and simple. So imagine anything. Unless you have aphantasia, complete aphantasia, then imagine anything visual. An apple, a cat, a dog, the sky. As you imagine that, there's an apparent substance, a virtual substance, that allows you to be aware of that, wherever it is. You may feel like it's in your head or mind. You may not know where it is, but there's certainly an experience of it. What is the substance of that thought? What is the substance of that image? Now, look at any internal narrative that's occurring right now. It can be anything. It can be subtle, like this is enjoyable, or a subtle sense of I'm confused, or trying to evaluate how this fits into your understanding. Anything subtle, anything that feels like an evaluation, something defining you or your experience. Now, similar to the visual image, go to that. What is it? Can you touch it? The substance that makes it possible for you to be aware of that right now. Maybe you can't go out to it because it's already there. It's already here. Maybe it's the substance of what you are is the one that's hearing. Maybe it's as close as you can ever get to the sense of who or what you are. Right now, awake and aware and conscious of what's being said. Touch in, feel into that, follow it, follow its contours. Get so close that it stops forming solid thought structures. If there's a visual image, get so close that it stops feeling like something out there. Stops feeling like something you're navigating. Do you see how it starts to stand still? The mind starts to quiet because we're not making distance. We're not thinking. We're noticing the substance of thinking. We're not engaging in a knowing process of knowing something as a thought object, as a judgment, as an evaluation, as an agenda, as a belief. We're disengaging from that process. And yet we still notice the substance of what seemed to make it possible to know, or does make it possible to know, even when there's no object of knowing right now. There's still a sort of knowingness. And because it's not a doing, we can also call it beingness, because it's just there. You don't experience it. The sense of you proceeds from it, if there is a sense of you. If you see this clearly enough, if you rest in it fully enough, you see that even the sense of I am is a thought emanating from it. It's an evaluation emanating from consciousness. Do you see how that works? So to even say rest as this doesn't make sense here because you can't not do that. It's already the case. Every thought that's ever formed has already been this. Every sense of I has already been this. Even any sense of I am not has already been this. You can't move from it because the moving is it. The perception of movement is consciousness. The evaluation that something moved is consciousness. So this is how you rest in consciousness. It's a noticing. It's a deconstruction of dualistic consciousness. It's a deconstruction of reaching out to what appears to be the world, but it's simply objects of thought. To what appears to be an experience, also an object of thought. So when we don't reach out, then we are the reaching. We're the reaching in and the reaching out. We're the inside and the outside, the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end, the I am and the I am not. Just fluctuations in consciousness. So as you rest as this, you don't need the label consciousness because it's also a thought. But what that thought points to, what that marker points to, is a very real and clear, immediate appearance. It's as close can get before close loses meaning. It's as close can get before close loses meaning. All meanings are dropped here because meanings are thoughts. Meaning, past and future, thoughts. Agree, disagree, thoughts. Coming and going, thoughts. Thoughts are consciousness and consciousness is thought. The sense of you, the thinker, is also consciousness. It's also a thought. You, thought, consciousness, all one, seamless, whole. Being, doing, non-doing, seamless, whole. By now, hopefully, there's not a bunch of evaluating going on. If there is, start from the beginning and follow this. Follow it back to where nothing could move because there's nowhere to go. Because going is a thought. Your past is a thought. The world is a thought. The universe is a thought. Work is a thought. Rest is a thought. And the media, or the medium through which thought is propagated, is none other than this direct, immediate, undeniable experience of being conscious, of there being consciousness. Nothing more, nothing less.